Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be an amazing day. This right here that I'm leaning on is a Nireeka Revenant e-bike. If you don't know anything about Nireekas, they are the premium of e-bikes. You guys may remember I reviewed in the past a Nireeka Prime, and that was by far my favorite e-bike. So the Nireeka Revenant is currently on Indiegogo for 16 more days, so get on board with that if you guys want to pick one up for a good price. But it's got a 1,000 watt motor, it's got full suspension, it's got a lot of really cool stuff. I'm super excited to unbox this thing. And this thing is supposed to do 35 miles per hour, and right now they're like low $2,000, mid $2,000 for one of these things. But without further ado, let's get this thing out of the box and see how it looks. Wow, I may have just been a little too excited before I unboxed this because I absolutely forgot that this is completely carbon fiber, whole 100% frame, everything, carbon fiber. And this bike has anti-lock brakes on it. Holy crap. The last few reviews I was doing, I had literally said, I feel like we're gonna need anti-lock brakes at some point. This is the first bike to have anti-lock brakes on it. Like, you guys can see this whole module here for the brakes and everything. And it even looks like the suspension is adjustable from the handlebars, or it's at least controlled with the brakes and everything. Wow. All right, here it is, the Nireeka Revenant in its glory. Oh my goodness, they have 1000% outdone themselves on this one. My goodness, I have not ridden it yet, obviously, but man, the hardware on this thing is next level. You guys can see the ABS module there. It is electronically controlled, and it goes down, down, down to down over here to an ABS module right here that actually controls the hydraulic brakes, so your tires aren't spinning or chirping or whatever while you're trying to brake. And I figured out this is a suspension lock, so you can actually lock and unlock the suspension, probably if you're going on or off road at this flip of a switch. I'll try to show you guys down there. Super crazy stuff. Screen is a pretty normal screen. I've seen this software before, but it is one of my favorite softwares, so I don't mind it at all. Standard control over here, again, don't mind it at all. The frame though, dude, this thing is so light for an e-bike. This is a full carbon fiber frame, and the paint job on this thing is just next level. This thing looks, I'm gonna go over here. This thing just looks absolutely incredible. It like freaking, and on an e-bike, I mean, this is like motorcycle stuff. This is like a full paint job and everything. Other normal e-bikes just have like standard colors and whatnot. Like, look at this thing. Just the quality of the finish and the paint job and everything is just, it's just fantastic. Goodness gracious. And you can also turn on, it does have a tail light as well that you can turn on if you'd like to. And just the frame design overall is pretty sweet. It's at least unique, if nothing else. Even if you don't personally like the look that much, it's unique and you cannot get around that fact. You guys can see it does have rear suspension as well. Kind of a strange design, but very cool. And it does obviously have front suspension as well. So it is fully suspensioned. This whole seat is made from carbon fiber and it's incredibly light. Super cool. It is equipped with a 1000 watt hub motor over here, and it does have a removable battery pack like the Nireeka Prime that I also reviewed. Man, so I mean, that's pretty much it. Just as far as an overview of specs go, they say it does 35 miles per hour top speed and around 50 miles of range. 50 miles of range, I would assume, is not going max speed and probably on a pretty easy terrain and, you know, flat surface, whatever. So I'll probably see a few less miles than that because I ride these things like motorcycles. I just go all throttle, no pedaling. So that's how I'm gonna do the range test. Let me take this thing out to the street, show you guys, and get my first impressions, but just show you guys how it looks riding around on the road. And don't let looks deceive you. This is actually it's a good sized bike. I'm 6'3", 200 pounds, and it's probably gonna fit me just fine. But anyway, let's bring you guys back when it's on a full charge and we can get this thing out to the road and just see how it does. I am so excited. All right, let's take the Nireeka out for its first ride. As you guys can see, there's 4 miles, 3.9 miles on the odometer. Currently, I have not ridden it yet, so that's the baseline, what we're starting at. But I'm very excited to get this thing on the road. So this is my first impression. This is the first time I've ever even sat on the thing. Dude, the suspension's nice on this thing. Look at this. That dampens really, really well. All right, full range test, let's do it. All right, let's take the Nireeka Revenant e-bike out on its first ride. Right off the bat, it definitely has enough power. Like, we're on a very short little strip right there, and we got up to about 24 miles per hour. Yeah, we just hit 30 on this little strip here. We're in eco mode. I guarantee you we could put it in sport mode. Oh, that braking is so nice. My goodness. First and foremost, let's get ourselves a top speed run. Hey, there we go, plus sign and the eye information icon at the same time. Changed it to sport mode. We should be pretty much maxed out. I love how it changed from green to red. That's freaking legit. All right, sport mode, no pedaling, all throttle. I got about a quarter of a mile. Let's see what we get on the top speed. It's already at 25, how about that? $32 it says. Feels about right. 33, 34. Luckily we hit ourselves a green light, so we're just gonna keep rolling. I'm not really getting over 34. Let me get a little bit of tuck here. Yeah, 34 according to the speedometer is all we're getting. Man, these brakes are really nice. Survey says 34.5 miles per hour. Very cool, very cool. Great top speed. So from here on out, I'm just gonna full send it, do my normal coffee shop route down some bike trails. Full send sport mode, no pedaling. We'll see how many miles it'll take us. Riding this thing like a motorcycle. Yeah, this thing's definitely quick, man. Pedestrian privileges. This thing climbs right over hills. Wow. I guess that's the difference between a 1000 watt motor and an even 750 watt motor. This thing just freaking eats hills, man. Just slight decrease in speed. Oh, frick. I'd also really quick like to point out how just comfortable and convenient this bike is to ride. It's just, it looks like it's a lot sportier than it feels. Like, obviously it's not a cruiser bike. Obviously I'm a little bit, you know, leaned over to the front to hold the bars in a slightly more sporty position, but it's not uncomfortable by any means. And even this seat, I feel like maybe all the bumps are absorbed so well by the suspension, because the suspension is really soft. Maybe it's just not as aggravating to ride on as other e-bikes, but like, it does not feel uncomfortable in any regards. And I'd also like to point out the suspension front and rear is fully adjustable. I tightened it up a little bit on the rear, and yeah, overall it's a really good feel. And just like the brakes and everything is so natural and refined feeling. It feels very refined. it doesn't feel like anything is going to stop working at any point, you know. Some other e-bikes, you just question some of the components that are on it. This one's very responsive in all regards. It just feels like a good working system. A lot of other e-bikes just feel like there's a weakness somewhere in them as you're riding it. And this doesn't really feel like that. It's very convenient, and it's so light. This bike is incredibly light. It does not strike me as actually an e-bike. It feels like I'm riding something a lot less big than it is. A lot of e-bikes, there are some that just feel really big and heavy and planted and everything, but like this doesn't feel like that. It's a big bike, but it doesn't feel like it's too heavy or anything. It almost just feels like a bicycle you can toss around a little bit, but it's a high-spec e-bike. Crazy. And all-terrain, look at this thing. Usually I am slowing down over that spot because it is bumpy. It's a lot bumpier than it looks. But man, I just flew right over it. The all-terrain tires, they're like not fat, but they're not skinny. And the suspension combo, dang, that just freaking, like, it felt like I had plenty of traction and I didn't even feel the bumps on that path. Really nice bike. I have basically zero complaints at this point. As long as the range gets, you know, decently close to what they advertise, I'm fine with it. Oh, I'm definitely not going to see 50 miles of range. You know, just the size of the battery pack and everything. I'm going to estimate on full throttle, all out in sport mode, no pedaling, just powertrain. I would imagine I get right around 20, maybe mid 20s mile per hour or miles per charge. But I guess we'll just have to see. What an absolutely awesome bike. Alright, on the road again. 7 miles down, we're at 66%. But that's with voltage sag a little bit, so we're probably a little higher than that. We'll just head on back and probably just ride it around everywhere like crazy if we have to kill it. It's just such a smooth bike though. It's just such a smooth bike. Just got back from the full range test. I have to preface this a little bit. We got 22.3 miles on this charge. So the software, they were clever and they were smart with coding this bike and how the battery output does its thing. So I was hitting like 34 miles per hour all the way until about 20% on the battery life. So right when it hit like 20% or so, it seemed like the battery dropped down to the amount of power it was putting out. And it was just holding me at like a consistent, I don't know, 13 to 15 miles per hour. So it felt like it maybe like halved output when it hit 20% of the battery. That's 1/5 of the charge of the battery. So I think they actually limit your current, you know, at a certain voltage. So I was probably at like 12% when I just called it quits because it was just not draining the battery any faster. I was still at 13 to 15-ish miles per hour that whole way, but it was just draining so slowly at that point. And I hit 20% at like, I don't know, 15, 16 miles on the charge or something. So the next like 7 or 8 miles, we used like 8 8% of the charge doing a lower speed. So it probably would have gone to like, I don't know, 27, 28 miles actually on one full charge. It was just so slow racking up the miles, and I had been sitting on this bike for like an hour and a half at that point, and it was just, you know, not becoming super fun, and it didn't really matter that much, you know, for the full range test and whatnot. Anyway, so that's kind of interesting, and that's actually really smart because a lot of e-bikes, they just go for like 18 or 20 miles and just cut. Whereas this will prolong, it'll give you a bunch of extra miles at the tail end, you know, when you're at 20% or less, it gives you another like freaking 8 to 10 miles, but you are going a lot slower at that point. But that's smart, at least it gets you home. And I mean, they are working with a slightly smaller battery pack. Like, this bike is not huge, and you can see the design of the bike. It fits well, but it's not a huge battery pack. But it's crazy that it gets 35 miles per hour. I was really impressed just with the overall ride quality. Super powerful. Don't even feel hills. Like, it pulls right over hills. It's incredibly light. That's probably why. And just the overall ride quality. This is probably one of the smoothest bikes I've probably ever gotten in. The suspension, everything is just really, really nice feeling. You don't feel any bumps on this thing. It almost feels like a supermoto. It really does. Like, have you seen those supermotos that are like ultra light and they're like doing like big old jumps and like balancing on it and stuff? That's kind of what this bike feels like. It's so light and it's so smooth. It just absorbs everything in the road. So as far as powertrain and specs go, that's what you guys can expect. Yeah, just overall how it looks. You really can't beat this. But this color is just absolutely fantastic. It does have dirt and stuff on it right now because I just got back from riding it, but man, this color was really, really nice. And just the overall style I personally like. It's, you know, I prefer the Nireeka Prime as far as like styling because it's a huge beefy type bike. This is not a huge beefy type bike, but it's very modern still looking. And this is the first e-bike again that I have seen with ABS, big old ABS module on it. I had never seen that before. And I just can't believe that this thing is full carbon fiber. Like, it is incredibly light. I'm pretty strong too, but just trust me, it's light, okay? Anyway, I feel like Nireeka just changed the game with this e-bike. I mean, this is obviously a premium e-bike. This isn't just a cheap one you'll buy off of Amazon or something. Nireeka is an incredibly premium brand. Their Nireeka Prime was one of my all-time favorite e-bikes. This is probably a close second. For the price though, I mean, you could get it right now on their Indiegogo campaign, like the early bird special price or whatever. You can get this thing for like $2,300 as far as I remember seeing. And at that price, I don't think you can get a better one. I'm curious what the price will be after the Indiegogo campaign when they just, you know, sell them at retail price. I don't know. That'll be interesting to see. But right now you can get these for like $2,300, and I feel like this is probably one of the best e-bikes you can get for that price. And everything about this bike just feels high quality. Absolutely an incredible bike. I can't recommend this highly enough. Nireeka is probably one of my favorite premium e-bike brands out there. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. This is the Nireeka Revenant all carbon fiber e-bike. If you guys want to check them out, there is a link to the Indiegogo campaign below, and I'll probably update the link after the Indiegogo ends. So that's it. Go check them out, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next time.